Well, hello. My name's Rex. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you stumbled across, well, I hope you like what you're here for. If you don't know what you're here for, well, let's just talk a bit. Um, I like to talk about Jesus, and I like to talk about religion. I try to stay away from politics, but sometimes they do intersect. I'm not a conservative, and I'm not a liberal or progressive. I have a focus on the politics of Jesus. So that at times makes me sound conservative, at times it makes me sound progressive. I grew up Republican. uh, my parents were Eisenhower Republicans. Um, I first voted, my first presidential election was in 1980, and I cast my vote for Ronald Reagan. I was 20 years old. At that time, I was there in the early days of the moral majority. I was even in a Christian chorale, college chorale, that we sang on the steps of the state capitol in Baton Rouge for Jerry Falwell in one of his early moral majority rallies. So I was there, and I remember the fever pitch at which we were all, as young fundamentalists, being encouraged that if we didn't vote for Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter got reelected, well, that was going to be the end of the United States of America. Hmm. And what happened was a marriage between evangelicalism and fundamentalism and the Republican Party, which has only gotten worse over time. To where now, if you don't fall along the party lines, you are persona non grata, or you are a heretic, or a liberal, or something worse. So, I don't want that anymore. I don't need that anymore. And after the last few years, yeah. So, I just go back to the beginning, to what the first people referred to themselves as before they even were called Christians. They were followers, they were disciples of Jesus. And so that's what I'll talk about on this channel. Talk about what he talked about and what he taught and what the early church, those first few centuries, what those early believers and followers did and what they practiced and what they stressed, because I think that will be the closest to what we've been missing in a lot of Christianity and churches in America. I'm not down on churches. I'm a member of a church, of an evangelical church. One of the things I like about the church I attend is that our focus tries to be on Jesus. You know, we tend to look like a Baptist church in some ways, but we have some uh, folks that come from Assembly of God background and a lot of different backgrounds, but we try to focus on Jesus, and and there's freedom to believe and to follow Him, and we use the scriptures, and you know, so you know, I'm not against being in a church or churches per se, but I understand if you've been burned by a church. I know what that's like. I know about abuse that happens in churches. I've seen it. I've been a victim of it, and unfortunately, I may have participated in it back when I was a pastor. I I may have. So yeah, if you've been hurt by a church or burned by a church, I understand. If you've been hurt by Christians, I get it. If you've gone through a process of deconstruction, I understand that, and that's fine. I just want to tell you that that, that the love of God is bigger and broader than any of us can imagine, and He loves you. He loves you so much. And so, what I will talk about on here is I'll talk about following him, and I'll talk about what he stressed. And so some of the things may seem controversial, some of the things may rattle your cage, but I hope that you'll take them, consider them, and look at what Jesus taught, and look at what those early Christians believed, and maybe we can join and follow along together. Anyway, I'm glad you're here today. That's really all I wanted to say for right now. I'll be trying to post some videos on a regular basis and talk about things, because this year is crazy, y'all, isn't it? And we need to talk about some things. We need to talk about racism, racism among Christians, and we need to talk about what Jesus would want us to know about that. And we need to talk about a lot of things. So, anyway, glad you're here. Have a wonderful day.